The doctor brings Ace to Gabriel Chase, an old house that she once burned down in her hometown of Perryville. However, trying to get Ace to accept her guilt is not the real reason the doctor came here. A mysterious and highly mentally unstable being slays below them. Welcome, friends, enemies, companions, and Wovians. How are you doing today? Welcome to the Random Entertainment Channel. I am Enigmatic Joker, your host. Sci-Fi and fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music, and sports. And we don't do politics or religion because that's not entertainment. And a special place on this channel for Doctor Who, a special place in my heart. So that's why we do a Doctor Who story today again. Random because we'll discuss everything involves entertainment, including movies, series, and books and music. And you can choose, you can put your ideas for content for live streams under this YouTube video, or you can contact me via Discord. Random because we'll broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. So the time zone go. So yeah, random also, cause we will have no guests or different guests. It depends who wants to join me in the live stream panel. If you want to join me in the live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube, and we will look what is possible. The Discord server is called, what a surprise, Random Entertainment Table. Tech Doctor Who. I bump the server regularly so you can find me very quick. So cheers, mate, and have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. Yes, that's my name. So today, a 7 Doctor story called Ghost Light. And before we start, I will explain how this live stream is built up. First, I do some general info. Then I will do a plot with a spoiler alert before we go dive in it. Then we do some world building, some story notes, and in the end we do some context and continuity. So let's begin now. This story, Ghostlight, is a 3-parter. So Ghostlight was the second serial of season 26 of Doctor Who. Although 2 stories followed its broadcast, it was the last story of the classic series to be produced and the last to feature significant recording at BBC Television Centre. So, spoiler alert, we dive now into the plot. And if you watched these 3 episodes of this story yet, I highly recommend you to watch this first before you continue to listen to this live stream. So, 3-parter, part number 1. So, the 7th Doctor brings the TARDIS and Ace to a room which seems to be a cross between a nursery and an old laboratory. As Ace examines the artifacts in the room, wondering where they are, the Doctor simply tells her it's a surprise. Ace expresses her concern that this might be a haunted house, saying that after one she'd been in before, she would never go into another. They decide to explore the Victorian house, which reminds Ace of a museum. A clock reads after midnight. On the floor lies a metal snuff box with the initials RFC embossed on it. The Doctor scans it and finds that it is radioactive. A man shows up and soon mentions atrocities that are rumored about his house. He says he came here to find the explorer Redvers Van Cooper, and the box is the first evidence he was here. Before Ace can stop him, he pockets the radioactive box. He means to save Mr. Van Cooper from the clutches of that braggart, Josiah Samuel Smith. The doctor and Ace follow the man as he explores another room of the old house. Suddenly, the man picks up and aims an elephant rifle at them as he starts describing Redford Van Cooper's adventures, insisting he must find him. As the doctor dodges out of the way, the curtain behind him slips open and the man sees his own reflection in the window. He lowers his gun in recognition, saying, Redford, I found you. A woman in black, two others in 1800s maid's uniforms, and a hunched battle antler. The woman in black says, Van Cooper, we were worried about you. They roughly twist his arm up behind his back and marches him out. The butler, Nimrod, explains that the man is unbalanced and is under their care at the house. He then says his master, Mr. Smith, as if they would join his other guest in the drawing room. There, they meet Smith's ward, Gwendolen, conversing with the Reverend Ernest Matthews. Matthews assumes the doctor is actually Josiah Smith and begins criticizing his ethics and far reaching support of the newly popular theory of evolution. After the girls leave together, the real Joshua Smith comes in wearing dark glasses and dims the lights. He then welcomes Matthews and the doctor to the old house, which is called Gabriel Chase. Soon, Van Cooper can be heard screaming and everyone converges at his door. The doctor makes his way in to see a bright light pouring from the snuffbox. But Nimrod forces him back out of the room again. The guests are told to leave him to the house staff. The Reverend Ernest Matthews finally gets his long awaited meeting with Joshua Smith and immediately carries on with his criticisms. Smith has the matron chloroform him. Back in the drawing room, Ace and the doctor observe that Nimrod is a Neanderthal. Then Ace becomes agitated at hearing that they are in the house called Gabriel Chase, shouting, You tricked me! As she turns and runs off. The doctors catch up with her and they relay that this was the haunted house she will enter in her hometown of Perivale near London. She had gone in on her there in 1983 at the age of 13 and felt an evil presence. As Ace tells this story, she becomes agitated and again runs off. Lucia Smith receives a telephone call that shocks him to the core. He then offers the doctor money to help him, but he refuses. In the meantime, Ace finds her way to a small elevator which takes her deep below the house to a large stone chamber with alien technology apparent in it. In its simple lit panels, a threatening voice speaks to her. Then two alien bipeds close in on her. End of part 1. Part 2. The doctor finds Gwendolen opening drawers containing specimen cases of beetles. She opens a final drawer which contains a man saying that it's one of her favorites, that is from Java. She then tells the doctor that the Reverend Ernest Matthews will be leaving for Java soon, and that Uncle Joshua sent her father there after he saw what was in the cellar. In the cellar, the two aliens creatures are dragging Ace toward the door. Nimrod appears and comes to her rescue, brandishing a lantern while Ace takes up a stick and fights them off. The doctor, starting to worry about Ace, begins looking around, but the house matron, suddenly over-friendly, tells him that Ace has gone to bed. Gwendolen offers to show him. The doctor moves past them to find Ace, and all the uniformed mates suddenly raise revolvers and aim at him. Ace continues to swing her stick at the threatening aliens. Central to the cellar room is a large oval light divided into many segments. Brandishing her stick, she threatens, "Let us go, or I'll smash it." This brings about a change of heart in Nimrod, who says she is profaning the temple of light, and grabs her stick, crying, "The sleeping one must not be woken." But as they strike the oval light, a steam bursts from it. An alarm goes off in the house, and in the surprise, the doctor grabs one of the guns, grabs Josiah Smith, ordering him down in the elevator. The doctor and Smith arrive in a chaotic cellar, and Smith cries that his work in his observatory could be ruined. Back in the house, Gwendolen starts crying, asking why her father went to Jaffa and left her, and wondering where her mother is. The doctor catches the steam leak in the cellar, stabilizing the situation. He then identifies Ace's alien attackers as previous incarnations of Joseph Smith, kind of like an insect which casts off its outer husk as it grows. These husks, however, are fully animate and bear little resemblance to humans. A screen comes up showing DNA, and Ace realizes that they are actually in a stone spaceship. The doctor says the owner will be displeased when it awakes, but Smith responds that he is the owner. The doctor retorts that Smith is just part of a cargo. Smith regains the gun and orders the doctor to stabilize the fluctuating energy before it blows up this part of England. In vying for control, the doctor reopens the steam patch. Whatever is behind the door starts to come out, and the others all run for the elevator. On the way up, Smith's appearance starts to change. The doctor says he's evolving again. On the main floor, the mates come to help him from the lift. He orders them, "It's first light, secure the house." The matron tells them to take Smith to the upper observatory. The doctor tells Ace they won't see them again until nightfall. Josiah Smith awakens Reverend Matthews from his chloroform-induced sleep, and while Matthews goes straight back to chastising evolutionary theory, Smith feeds him a banana, and it is revealed that Matthews' arms have grown a long ape-like hair. Gwendolen, having seen that is daylight outside, checks on her uncle Joshua and finds him still mid-transformation, looking sickly. He drops another dose of chloroform onto a handkerchief, and Gwendolen administers it to the metamorphosing Matthews. Meanwhile, the doctor opens the drawer with the man inside and wakes him. Ace awakens in a bed as a maid opens the curtains. She is not one of the uniformed, non-speaking, gun-wielding maids, but a pleasant servant named Mrs. Gross, who is bringing Ace breakfast. But she tells her it is after 5 and it will be getting dark soon. And no one is in their right mind stays in his house after dark. Oh. The man in the drawer turns out to be a police officer, Inspector Mackenzie from Scotland Yard, who was sent to investigate the disappearance of George Pritchard, Gwendolen's father, in 1881, 2 years previously, and is dead set on conducting his investigation. The doctor is aware that there were two beings in the stone spaceship below the house, one asleep, the master of the ship, and one imprisoned, which was able to get through the door as he rescued Ace and the others. Joseph Smith has been keeping them subdued and using the ship's resources, fearing the ship's master. The explorer Redvers Van Cooper saw it and lost his mind, and the Neanderthal butler Nimrod worships it. But what is it? In the meantime, Ace and Inspector Mackenzie make their way to a room where they find Josiah Smith, the matron, Gwendolen, and the half-ape Reverend Matthews all seated and all inanimate, inanimate and covered with sheets like furniture in a vacant house. The doctor, wanting to move things along, turns the clock ahead so it strikes midnight and panels open in the wall, revealing the uniformed maids, who then move silently into the room. Upstairs, the seated figures become animate, and Gwendolyn attacks Ace. The matron knocks Mackenzie down. He is held by the previous husk of Smith. The new Smith enters the room and has them all go downstairs. The doctor talks about someone known as Control, one of the beings on the ship who has finally been set free. Out of the lift steps a shrouded figure. The doctor says, "Thank you for trusting me, Control." Roman reveals her face and says that what they are desiring will be found in the darkness of the lift. Smith rushes to secure the doors, but is electrocuted when he touches it. Doctor calls light, and the doors flies open as a bright light envelops them all. End of part 2. Part 3. The doctor helps Control release the trapped creature from the cellar, a being known as Light, who takes the form of an angel-like being. Thousands of years in the past, the alien spaceship came to Earth to catalog all life on the planet. After completing its task and collecting examples, including Nimrod, the leader, Light went into slumber. By 1881, the ship had returned to Earth. The year is 1883. A Control remains imprisoned on the ship to serve as the control subject of the scientific investigation. Events transpired such that Smith, survey agent, mutinied against Light, keeping him in hibernation on the ship. Smith began evolving into the area's dominant life form, a Victorian gentleman, and also took over the house. By 1883, Smith had lured and captured the explorer Van Cooper within his den. Utilizing Van Cooper's association with Queen Victoria, he plans to get close to her so he can assassinate her. He can take control of the British Empire to make it a better place. Light is displeased by all the change on the planet while he was asleep. While Light tries to make sense of it all, Smith tries to keep his plan intact. But events are beyond his control. Angry that his catalog is now missing the correct information, Light childishly decides to destroy all organic life to stop evolution after taking apart one of the mates to understand how humans work. He turns Gwendolyn and a missing doctor and missing mother, revealed to be Lady Pritchard, to stone in a bid to stop the speed of evolution. Inspector Mackenzie meets a sticky end and is turned into a primordial soup to serve at dinner. As Control tries to evolve, quote unquote, evolve into a lady, and Ace tries to come to grips with her feelings about the house, the doctor tries to keep the upper hand in all events that have been set in motion. The doctor finally convinces Light of the futility of opposing evolution, which causes him to overload and dissipate into the surrounding house. It was this presence that Ace sensed and which caused her to burn the house in 1983. Also, Control's complete evolution into a lady derails Smith's plan as Van Cooper, having freed himself from Smith's brainwashing, chooses to side with her. In the end, with Smith, the new Control creature, imprisoned on the ship Control, Van Cooper and Nimrod set off in the alien ship to explore the universe. The doctor asks Ace if she has any regrets about burning the house now. Ace tells him she wishes she blew it up instead. The doctor only smiles and says, "Wicked." And that, my friends, is the end of this story. Now I'll name some cast members. The Doctor is played by Sylvester McCoy. Ace is played by Sophie Aldred. So Josiah is played by Ian Hawke. Mrs. Pritchard is played by Sylvia Sims. Redford Van Cooper is played by Michael Cochrane. Control is played by Sharon Hughes. Gwendoline is played by Catherine Schlesinger. Reverend Ernest Matthews is played by John Nettleton. Nimrod is played by Carl Forgione. Miss Gross is played by Brenda Kempner. Inspector Mackenzie is played by Frank Windsor. And Light is played by John Hallam. Now some world building. The Doctor calls Ace Eliza, a reference to the fictional character Eliza Doolittle from Pygmalion, while trying to get her to behave in line with the prevailing Victorian mores. This is echoed in Ace helping Control to fulfill her desire to be a proper lady, including elocution lessons, the primary means of a training in Pygmalion. Second thing, the story references Arthur Conan Doyle and suggests that his novel The Lost World might have been inspired by Redford's claim to have discovered a place in the jungle where dinosaurs still live. Third thing, the Doctor's rhetorical question, who was it said Earthmen never invite their ancestors round to dinner, is a reference to the Hitchhiker Guides to the Galaxy. Fourth thing, Redford tells the Doctor that he is hunting the crowned Saxe-Coburg, Queen of England. This is a reference to the House of Saxe-Coburg and Gotha, to which Queen Victoria's husband Prince Albert belonged. Her grandson George V would change the name to the House of Windsor in 1917 due to anti-German sentiment at the time. Fifth thing, Doctor quotes the phrase "up the wooden hill to Bedfordshire" when he's encouraged to go to bed. Next thing, while dining with Josiah, the Doctor hums the tune of Rule Britannia. Next thing is painting of Queen Victoria hangs in Gabriel Chase's living room. Second thing, and next thing is Ace compares Josiah's aversion to sunlight to Dracula. Another thing is when debating with Light by enlisting creatures that Light missed in his catalogue, the Doctor mentions dragons, griffins, basilisks, bandersnatches, and slitty toves. And another thing is the song Gwendolyn is playing on the piano is That's the Way to the Zoo, composed by D.F. Mitchell around 1881. The chorus is as follows. That's the way to the zoo. That's the way to the zoo. The monkey house is nearly full, but there's room enough for you. Take a bus to Regent's Park. Make haste before it shuts. Next Monday, I will come and bring you such a lot of nuts. So, some world building in relation to food and beverages. Josiah offers a bowl with a banana to Matthews, who begins to turn into a monkey. And the second thing, Mrs. Rose gives a scrambled egg, hot buttered toast, kidneys, sausages, and bacon for breakfast. Ironically, Sophie Aldred is a vegan. Oh, shit. So that was some world building. Um, about some story notes. The story evolved out of an early rejected script entitled Lembarrow. It was to be set on Gallifrey in the Doctor's ancestral home and deal with the Doctor's past, but producer John Nathan Turner felt it revealed too much of the Doctor's origins. It was reworked to make evolution and the idea of an ancient house central to the story. And Mark Platt used elements of his original idea for his Virgin New Adventures novel Lembarrow. Some story elements were amended. Inspector Mackenzie has already been a character trapped in a transporter for 3 centuries, where Redford's Van Cooper's invitation to Buckingham Palace had been a will for which some of the characters were vying. Um, some fans and critics considered the story to be incredibly confusing, finding important plot elements were only alluded to or suggested via metaphor. It was an intentional act on the part of the writer, who was later quoted as stating, "I believe that all drama is more satisfying if not handed to the viewer on a plate." Um, Ghostlight was the last serial of the original series ever produced. The last recorded sequence was the final scene between Mrs. Pritchard and Gwendoline here, before the eyes of horrified Nimrod Light turns them to stone, so they will never change again. It was not, however, the last to be screened. Both the Curse of Fenrock and Survival, produced beforehand, followed in its transmission order. A line from the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is referenced by the Doctor in the form of the rhetorical question, who was it said that Earthmen never invite their ancestors around to dinner? So its creator, Douglas Adams, was a script editor and writer for the series, penning both TV episode The Pirate Planet and TV episode City of the Dead. The latter with Graham Williams under the BBC in the house pseudonym David Agnew, as well as the unaired TV story Shada with the fourth Doctor Tom Baker. Um, Sylvester McCoy named this as his favorite serial, while Andrew Cartmel called it the jewel in the crown. Uh, Platt described the story as the Adams family on acid. um, One key scene was not completed due to time constraints and featured Mackenzie encountering the night mates, Miss Pritchard, as they prepare to leave, whereupon one of the mates chases him with a machete. This explains why he's hurrying, is out of breath, and exclaims about Gabriel Chase being like a madhouse just before to his death at Light's hands. Several more scenes were cut or trimmed in post production due to the story running over length. These included Light preventing Mackenzie from leaving Gabriel Chase by causing the door to become immovably bolted, and material explained on the spy devices Yosia was secreted in the upper observatory where the TARDIS materializes. Another scene set in the upper observatory saw Nimrod tendering his resignation to Yosia, but although this was rehearsed, it was never actually recorded. So, um, further on. Um, Also some technical thing about Queen Victoria, by the way, is that Queen Victoria is referred to as the Crown Saxe Coburg. Technically, only her husband and children belong to that house. By the way, she herself was from the House of Wealth or Braunschweig, Lüneburg. Um, so this was one final story note is that was initially intended to be the third serial of season 26 with the Curse of Fenric and Battlefield preceding it. However, as Nathan Turner felt that the horror-themed Curse of Fenric will better suited to being shown during October, the season was reshuffled so that it became the third serial, with Battlefield now being the first serial shown and Ghostlight being the second. So those are some story notes. Um, then we will dive into continuity because again and again, and I repeat myself in other live streams also. That continuity and complex Doctor Who universe um, consists of different characters, different stories and episodes. There are some logic and there are some unlogic. There are some canon and uncanon. My vision is that you can choose your own canon But there are some stories in the Doctor Who universe linked to each other, or reference, or a relation to each other. There are some things in the past that link to this story, and also some future things that link to this story, refer to this story. So there are not so many links or references to this story in the way of the TV and the broadcast episode, but there are some links to um, most of all in the prose and the comics. So for there's one thing that for TV is that the third Doctor John Pertwee sang Jabberwocky to himself in the TV episode Doctor Who and the Silurians. Second thing is that Ace would later tell the Doctor that her friend Manisha Prakashyasta was killed when her flat was attacked by the firebomb attack, which scorched her flat. You see that in prose Blood Heat. So about the third thing in the continuity context is that the Torchwood Institute with Captain Jack Harness leading this later investigates Doctor involvement in the Gabriel Chase incident. You see that in the comic The Time Machination. And the fourth and last thing in the continuity in the context of the Doctor Who universe is that the time worm would later reprimand the Doctor for his actions in Gabriel Chase. You see there's a link in Prose Time Worm Revelation. So, that's it. I hope you enjoy this. So, now is it time for some commercial. So, there we go. Sci-fi and fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport. Random Cast will discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music. Random Cast will broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what the time the broadcast is. Random also, because we will have no guests or different guests. It depends who wants to join me in the live stream or panel. If you want to join me in a live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube. Have a look what is possible. Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel Tech Doctor Who. So cheers mate and have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. So, and this is the end of this live stream. I hope I have a nice day. Uh, enjoy your day and enjoy Doctor Who. For now, I say to you goodbye. See you next time. Bye bye.